Hello and welcome to another episode of Guiding You Home. My name's Travis Avila. I'm joined by Senior Guapo, Mr. Jeff Landon.
Hey, brother, what's up?
How you doing?
Good, man.
Bobby Kelly.
Hello.
Bobby Kelly, team lead at Keller Williams, Central Coast, is going to talk with us about why 87% of realtors fail. That is an overwhelmingly high stat.
It's a lot. I know. Yeah. I didn't fact check you, but it's a lot.
I think it's right.
And it sounds about right to me.
Yeah, I've heard anywhere from like 80s to 90s.
Yeah.
So whatever, somewhere in there. It's the overwhelming majority.
Yes.
So we'll give you a few reasons why I think this is a great episode for agents, clearly. Also, if you're looking to buy or sell and looking at who to hire, it's great insight. Yeah.
Because when you go to hire somebody that's failing, it's probably not going to be the best interest of you.
That's valid. That's
like, good point. Yeah.
You just lost me $50K.
This is a fun one.
It's fun. It's a lot of good information. It's super fun. So hope you enjoyed this episode. This episode is brought to you by Keller Williams Realty Central Coast. If you've ever been listening to our podcast and thought, gosh, if these clowns can do real estate, anyone can. Well, you're probably right. So Bobby, if people are interested in having a career in real estate, what should they do?
They should reach out to me, 805-888-9397, and I will show you all the things we have to get licensed and the resources to get started in a career in real estate today.
Awesome. Thanks, Bobby. Now back to the episode. Why do realtors fail? So this is partly a message to realtors, but also I think really interesting for people looking to buy or sell and how to think about who to hire.
That's true. There's a lot of, we could go to a lot of different directions with this one.
Yeah.
But we're just going to give you all the info.
We'll give you all the info.
Make
you decide
what you want.
Yeah.
And not even all the
you decide
info.
if you want to listen.
But why should we listen to Bobby on this?
Oh, Bobby's the team lead at Keller Williams. She's also an incredible agent and she knows her stuff. She talks with, there are hundreds of agents.
But she talks with the top agents and the ones that are struggling to make it.
Yeah.
Not just at our own brokerage. Yeah. I get all the perspectives and get to see, how all the things we try work out.
Yeah. We only know, we deal with agents every day and we know our own team, but Bobby's got access to a ton more agents.
I think ultimately why this matters for the person that's not an agent is because the agent who's failing isn't probably going to do the best job for you when you're going to buy or sell your house. You want to have someone that's actually successful.
Yeah.
There's such a clear difference between somebody who's doing this to have a side hustle and somebody who this is their chosen career path. It is, you know the difference. You've worked with both,
both
types. So we'll get into it.
Let's get into it.
Cool.
All right. First thing on the list.
Are we going, these are like stack ranked or just in no particular order?
In no particular order.
Okay.
I know I guess I could have ordered them.
That's all right.
One of the biggest things I see is lack of education, lack of training. It's not super exciting. It's not the things that typically you want to hit the ground running. You want to get busy. You want to be out there with clients. Taking time to learn in this industry is the number one thing that it's the biggest mistake people make when they don't do it. Our industry changes so quickly. We've been through it recently, but this is not anything out of the norm. This one was more extreme, but typically our contracts change. Our forms are always changing, standards, rules, laws, all the things. So not being up to date and not staying in training is a huge...
Yeah, one of the reasons why is the barrier to entry is pretty low for agents coming into the industry. And so, we
made it.
Don't let anyone in.
Barely.
So, hey, D is for done. So, you don't...
Took me a second.
Sorry, wait for it. And there it is. Okay. So, obviously you study for an exam and then you can basically practice law, in California. So the assumption that just because you have your license that you're good enough to, it's just not
so scary.
So scary.
Not the case.
I think what frustrates me the most about that and not going and paying for the training or paying for a coach, and a lot of coaches actually just try to teach people how to have business, not necessarily how to negotiate a contract and what to look for in contracts. What scares me about that is we're not practicing law, but we're filling out very serious forms that have huge fiscal and living, consequences for people. And if you don't do it right, and if you don't take care of people through the contract, you could be really hurting someone in a bad way. Or if you, on the other side of that, if you know what you're doing, you understand the contract, then you can really protect someone.
Yeah.
And typically people want that protection. That's what the contract's for, is to protect both the buyer and the seller in California.
That, even what you're saying though, that takes genuine care for somebody, somebody has to genuinely care about the job that they're doing and the way it's done. And that to me is like the first like attraction quality with when we're looking at agents is like, there are people out there that just don't care.
Yeah.
So that would be.
Well, huge plug for Keller Williams too, and what you're doing, because I feel like Keller Williams, we have trainings every day, in person,
as we
online.
speak, there's a broker training right now.
Yeah.
That I was like, I really want to go to that.
It's great. So if you aren't educated as a Keller Williams agent, it's your own fault.
Yeah. Well, you guys do a good job too. You come to most everything. And
we try to. Well, like you said, there's a lot of moving parts, and we really pride ourselves, especially when we're talking to buyers and buyers consults, we say that buyers in today's market have three main problems: inventory, affordability, and education. A lot of times the buyers, especially first-time home buyers, you don't know what you don't know.
Right.
Yeah.
And so we really pride ourselves on the education piece, and that requires us being educated ourselves. And it's not only the contracts, it's the strategies on, okay, how do you help guide your buyers towards an offer that might get accepted? It's like, gosh, you got to know all these strategies. You just have to stay sharp in order to win, not only, to get the offer accepted, but then to, provide that sense of security through contracts and stuff like you're talking about.
It's also just way more enjoyable. Like, if you're like doing something every single day, it's a terrible feeling not feeling like you're good at it or well trained
that's such
in
a good
it.
point. Yeah.
It's so much more fun. And that's probably why it's like, I wouldn't want to keep doing it if you don't know what you're doing every day and you're frustrated constantly. So the training is huge.
That's great. I think
big ticket item on the list, as well as like market understanding and having solid mentors and people to help you through it. And I think that all kind of gets bundled together, because staying up on your education is not just like contracts and all that, but it's also what is shifting in the market you're working in. So that's number one.
Number one.
On
Cool.
the list. Okay. Anything to add?
That's great.
Those.
Okay. The next one I feel so strongly about, because I think it's something that we nail absolutely, and it's most important to me, and that's relationships within the industry.
Yeah.
It's such a miss when agents don't realize that it matters that other people would want to work with them.
Yeah,
and
so true.
It's actually probably the first thing that I had to get really comfortable coaching to. Because it's like, they're like, well, I'm in it to get the offer. I'm not in it to make friends. And it's like, I understand that. And also, you want to be around for a while, you learn how to work really well with other people and get them on your team.
That's so true.
I was just talking to some potential buyers last night about this. And one of the things that we brought up was we have great relationships with other agents. And so when we're representing buyers, when an offer from a landmark group buyer comes through, all else being equal across the other offers, we want the listing agent in that situation to be able to tell the seller, these guys are great.
Right.
This is going to be a good experience. They're going to do whatever they can to get it done, so really while supporting their buyer, obviously. But we want that relationship. So,
and again, it goes back to it's enjoyable too. Like when we like what we do and we like who we're working with, you're going to want to keep doing it. It makes sense. So that would be a big ticket item. I have to look at my list.
That's all right.
That's fine.
Okay, this is a kicker. So communication skills. We could just
we
could spiral on this one because I know it's a pet peeve.
It's such a pet peeve for me.
It's a good agent pet peeve to have too, though. I understand it. You were just talking about this earlier.
Yeah. I don't. It's one of the things when you just Google the things that people are frustrated about by their agent. It's lack of communication and honesty and transparency and all that kind of thing. And so, gosh, I just can't tell you how many times, especially recently, it's like, you're texting or calling other agents. They don't answer. They don't respond. I eventually had to text an agent and say, listen, I'm trying to write you an offer. Please call me. And it's like, I'm trying to help you.
Yeah. Don't you want a good offer?
So it's just so frustrating when there's just no response and you just get ghosted. I don't understand it. And it seems like from a communication standpoint, man, the bar is so low, guys. It
is, but I think that it's all tied together. So if you don't know the right thing to say, if you don't feel like you can respond in an educated way, I think that's the natural inclination is to like go low. You kind of hide. So it goes back to like educating, being a professional, and even being willing to be humble, which we struggle with in this industry, and say, you know what, I don't have an answer for you, or I honestly have never seen this before. I don't know how to respond. Let me, do some research. And then it gives you the opportunity to work together to work stuff out.
Well,
go ahead, Jeff.
Like as a listing agent, like let's say you were trying to negotiate on a property that I had listed, You're like, hey, Jeff, I'm going to be showing this property. What should I know about it?
Yep.
And then I say, oh, these are all the great features, blah, blah, blah. Then you show it. And then before I have to call you, you call me and either give me good news or bad news. You say, hey, my clients are interested or they're not. All of a sudden, there's like some high respect, right?
Yep.
Let's say your clients are interested. Hey, Jeff, my clients are interested in the property. And A, B, C, they have these questions. You go, oh, okay, let me answer those questions for you. And then also, what's important to your sellers in the sale of their home? Do they need a rent back? Is it terms? Is it just price? What else besides price is important? We go through those things. I'm helping you write an offer that we don't need to counter.
Yep.
Right. And then I get the offer, has a nice email to it. And I'm like, wow, this is really good. Let's say I have 3 other offers on the table. Yours is a little bit less, but you've been communicating the whole time and I haven't been able to get a hold of any of these people. And all of a sudden they just show up in my inbox.
Creates risk for your
Totally. I'm like, they're like, which offer do you think is the best? Well, I'm like, well, here's the terms of all of them. But this guy as an agent is communicating well. And it seems like he's probably the one that's going to be easiest to work with. Do you want to just counter that guy? Sure. Let's do that. And you counter the one that, or whatever they choose to be their strategy.
Yeah.
Makes a huge difference.
Yeah. And it's not just if you communicate, it's how you communicate. I mean, just the best deals aren't the deals where you can feel like this is about one of us winning and one of us losing. The best deals are when it's like, how do we create a win-win? Like, you want to sell and get, market price for your home, and my buyer wants a fair price and they want to ultimately end up in the home. So let's make this work somehow. And there's mutual respect.
Yeah.
It's just great.
Yeah. That's what's fun about being in our office too. I think I see you do that all the time. It's like the high fives when it all comes together.
Yep.
And it does help being so interconnected and
for sure.
Absolutely.
around each other all the time. Okay.
What are we on? That was 2?
3.
3. Oh, wow. We're moving.
I know. Are we flying?
We're flying. No, we're
good.
doing great.
Look out. One of the other things on the list, lack of personal branding.
Ooh.
I think it's easy to drown in our industry in all the templates of everyone kind of putting out the same things. So
I like that.
it's fun for me. I love seeing how people brand themselves because I preach that all the time. There's plenty of business for everyone. You find your own people. You find what works for you and stay in that lane. We're not all, elbowing each other out of the way. So personal branding, I think, is...
Can you give us an example of what you mean by personal branding? Like where you've seen it done wrong or right, maybe?
Yeah. So one of my favorite stories is when I first came to the Keller family reunion events. And there was this guy covered in tattoos, like head to toe covered in tattoos. And he got up and he shared with the group. He was on a panel because he's one of the most successful realtors.
Wow.
I have to research him. He's incredible. And he got up and spoke about how for years he was so ashamed of his story and what he had been through in life, and didn't ever think he could make it in an industry like real estate because he needed to like cover up who he's been and where he's been.
Wow.
And instead of that, he leaned into the fact that he rose above this, changed his life, and he literally branded himself the Tattooed Realtor. I think I'm getting it wrong. It's like that might not be his exact name, but you can find him on
Something
social.
like that. That's cool.
And it was incredible. It was like he leaned into like, and that is our superpower, is like whatever we've been through in life, that's how we get to help the next people. We talk about that a lot. But that to me, it's like, it's more authentic and it's going to be way more enjoyable for him because he's in his true skin and he's telling the truth. And we all operate from a better place, way more trustworthy from a client standpoint. He's fully out, because otherwise, that they're going, what's going on there? But, and it just made me love him like so
cool.
much. And I love an industry where there's room for that. Like there's room for whatever it is, but leaning into your own personal brand, I think is important. You guys have done
We
it.
just went through this.
Yeah.
Do you want to speak to that? Or did you have something else?
Yeah, I was going to say, like, I just see what I love about real estate is you can come from any background and you can fall in love with real estate. It doesn't matter what your background is. And then you're like, you kind of evolve. I think we all evolve as we mature or whatever. And it's like, wow, like maybe I wasn't successful or maybe I had this kind of harder past or whatever that might be. But I found this thing that I love, that I'm good at, that I'm successful at. And that past kind of is like, man, it's a second chance.
Yeah.
And a lot of people use real estate as their second chance, or they're like, this is how I can make a living that's good for my family or whatever, without having to have a college education. I mean, we both got lucky and were able to go to college and stuff, but it's like a lot of people in this industry never went to college and never had that experience. So their career options are pretty limited. And so this is like a great field where your earning potential is unlimited. And what's cool about that, and I always love this, is like the best entrepreneurs are the people that help the most people. So it's like you're helping people, you're going out there. And so I don't know. I just love that it doesn't matter your background. Yeah, we did just go through a personal or a branding. And it's like it is interesting, like who we're trying to project versus like who we are.
Well, I think as realtors, and I was just talking about this in a referral network group I've got this morning. One of the guys was speaking about it, and he's in a totally different industry, but he said, I've got 7 criteria when I'm deciding whether or not to work with somebody. And if they meet 6 of the 7, I will not work with them. Just hyper specific. He knows what he wants. And I think the tendency a lot of times, especially in a market that's been challenging over the last few years in real estate, the tendency is to say, I'll take whatever I can get, but I think there's strength in saying, no, I'm secure enough in who I am and in our business that I want to be selective. And so that's where as we were going through this with Olivia French, shout out Olivia French Studios.
We love her.
We love her.
She's best.
She helped asking really good questions because initially it was like, well, who do you guys want to serve? It's like, well, people looking to buy or sell real estate. It's a very broad, like anyone, whoever. Yeah. But then as we talked through it more, it wasn't so much about that. It was about the types of people who are wanting to buy or sell real estate, who we feel like we could connect with. And so we modeled the new branding after that. And so it was really helpful to help us develop a personal, well, in this case, a team brand.
Yeah. And like how we love I think it's even beyond types of people. I think it's more like we love our local community.
Yes.
And we want to reflect the Central Coast. We're not LA. We're not the Bay. We want to reflect who we are here on the Central Coast. We're all local and love this area. And so that's like what we want our brand to reflect. But anyway, we got off topic.
Yeah, no, I love that though, because it's
great
a
point.
huge strength to have for sure. And that's what's fun about Keller too, is you get to really brand to your own, you're under the Keller umbrella, but we don't try to shove that down anyone's throat. We want you to be entrepreneurs. We want you to brand yourself because we want to be in business with business owners.
I love that.
Okay, next one. I got to look. Unrealistic expectations in the beginning is a huge indicator of whether you will succeed or fail. This is like with anything in life.
Yeah.
But I think our industry is like particularly set up, especially with social media and with these shows on, to think like, I'm going to get in this business. I'm going to
make bank,
sneeze and make $100,000 in my first 3 months. Like it's real. I sit with people every day that just got licensed, and the expectation, and I feel like that's part of my job, is like bringing the expectations into reality.
Yeah. I was talking with sorry, Travis. Go ahead. I was talking to a co-team lead, I guess a team lead of a different group, and he was saying that he has someone has made 300 calls a day for like 3 years, and like just now they're breaking through.
Hitting
and I'm
their
like,
stride.
They hit their stride. I'm like, that persistence is just so key to success. That's not how we build our business, but that's how certain people do. But the persistence of meeting with people and building networks, or the persistence of like talking to your friends and family and adding value and having client appreciation events and like all those things is so important to be persistent and continually, working it hard. And that the expectation that's just going to be easy is just so fake.
No. And I mean, anyone building a business would tell you it's not going to be easy. So I don't know why we think it's going to be different in building this one, but there's some stat, I think that, if it's 87% of realtors fail, I think they fail within the first 3 to 5 years. I don't know exactly what the stat is. 87% of stats are made up on the spot, but it's hard in the first few years because you are building that stuff, like you said.
Yeah.
So
it is, and it's also hard in all the years. Like I get to talk to people who they're the people you look at and you go, they have it figured out. Like these are like the top realtors where you're like, this is it, and it's still hard.
Yeah.
And that's what I love about being in a group, because then you're like, I'm not out here thinking I'm doing something wrong, so I'm going to fail out.
Right.
And I'm going to leave. Instead, I'm in it with them.
Yeah.
And if it's hard for them and it's hard for me, now all of a sudden we're, like a family in it together, which changes the whole
like
feeling.
anything, it's like having kids.
Yeah.
It's always hard. It changes.
Yeah.
But it's
your
just
heart changes.
Your heart changes, but it's hard. Being married, it's hard, but it's worth it.
What?
And not for you. I know, not for you, but for us, it can be hard. But it's true. It's just like, it's going to be hard. It's worth it. And I think the grit and determination, like we're not going anywhere, whether it's in a relationship or in real estate. It's like, I'm not going anywhere. I got in a really difficult time.
The worst time.
Amen. But, luckily I had a great support system, and I would hope to think the grit and determination to just stick it through, and it's paying off now, but man, it's hard.
It is. What were some things that you guys, like, what were your expectations, and what has surprised you about when you came in?
You don't want to ask me that question.
Why?
Honestly, I was so lucky.
You got lucky. I'll
So it
answer.
lived up to all your expectations. The industry did.
Like,
Yep. Okay.
I mean, it was okay. So for me,
impactful.
I was lucky. So I will say this: I was always the guy you'd call if you needed something before I was in real estate, and I'm still that guy.
Mm-hmm.
It's true.
And so when I jumped into real estate, I think I did 17 deals my first year, and I didn't spend $1
Same.
on marketing.
You and me both.
I love you guys.
Yeah.
And it was maybe
Okay.
it was, I don't
I'm
know.
done with you. Okay,
Yeah, but-
Travis, what did you expect?
Okay, I thought that there was some. Okay, I won't name names. There were some people who were like, "You're gonna make this much money your first year," and it was not that at all.
Mm-hmm.
And I mean, full transparency, I had over $100,000 lost that I had to use in my 401k that got totally wiped out over the first couple of years. So, and then didn't make nearly what I thought I would make and had to get a second job, third job at one point.
Bro.
So it was
It was tough, bro.
tough.
Like, stay with me, Travis.
I know. And you're like, and I'm 43 years old. I don't have any more big swings left in me. So I'm like, I need this to work,
Right,
And
right.
and my wife was like responsible and like, hey, what's our plan B?
Yeah.
I don't actually
This
know.
is it.
I
Yeah.
can't think about a plan B right now because that'll be a distraction.
Mm-hmm.
I need to give this, I think I had said 3 years or 5 years, something like that. Enough time to really know if I could make it or not.
Mm-hmm.
And now we're fine and it's looking like we're doing great. We're doing great.
His second
But-
job was pretty freaking awesome. He was making baskets for people and stuff. It was pretty cute. Just kidding.
Shut up. I would have though.
That'd be great.
Whatever. That sounds awesome actually. But yeah, it was really brutal.
was brutal.
Expectations were not realistic. They weren't met. And so I had to
And you came in
Yeah.
in the worst time.
came in the worst possible
you
time ever.
You definitely did.
Yeah.
But still, I mean, that's the thing. It's like when people come in, I love sharing all the tools we have, the education, the support system, and still I have to be like, but it's on you. Like
Yeah.
it's not, we can have all the resources and you have to be the one to get out of bed every day and you have to be the one to find it and
Yep.
to access it. And that's a different conversation.
I thought that, like, I think my thing would be, like, I thought I'd have more free time. And
Yeah. Oh yeah, there's so much flexibility in real estate.
don't
you
You're your own
flexible
boss.
yourself.
Yeah. Bull.
That,
yeah, it's such a load of crock.
I mean, yes and no. I think that real estate, for me, like being able to work in the kids' classrooms, to be able to drop my kids off and prioritize that. But when you work for yourself and someone's calling to give you work, that immediately
Yeah.
becomes the priority.
Yeah.
There's some flexibility, yes, but you're in business.
It's hard. I mean, I'll give you all a real example. I'll be real. So like last night, right? I have like 3 escrows that I'm dealing with, and there's like some stuff that I have to deal with. It's like I have to be on the phone. I did coach my kids soccer, so that's flexible. But then like 5:30, 5:45, I'm on the phone. I'm going through disclosures on some pretty technical disclosures to protect my client.
Yeah.
It's like this has to happen, and he's slammed at work all day. He can't do it, So I'm working on it with him live at night, all the way until like 9:15. And it's like, man, I just couldn't be present for my kids, which kind of sucks. And
But you
that's-
know what you're good at though, Jeff? When you're off, you're off. Like
Yes.
you do have the ability to
we've
turn
all
it
tried
off.
to reach you when you're off. We
Yeah,
know when you're
which
off.
is good. It's good quality.
It's
for all you that are listening, I have a backup.
I'm kidding.
He has a plan.
That's what the team is for,
That's what
though.
the team
That's
is for.
what's
Yeah.
amazing is it allows you to be able to do that.
Yeah, you can
And
disconnect.
That's the thing with flexibility. It's like, to me, that's flexible because you got to do that from your home,
Yeah.
probably in your jammies and in your slippers, and
I don't either.
enjoying your
I
own
don't own
tea.
jammies or slippers.
Well, just
You don't wanna
speaking from
know
my
what he
own-
was or
like,
was not wearing.
I love that. That to me is flexible.
flexible,
Instead
yeah.
of being locked in an office from
Yeah.
8 to 5, where
Yeah.
you cannot leave to pick up your kids. You cannot go if there's an emergency.
And my kids are calling me coach, which is cool.
Your kid.
That's
Yeah,
cool.
That
Yeah,
is
I love
cool.
that.
That's cool.
Okay, so
That's great. That's an awesome podcast, I think, guys.
We got one more, I think, don't we?
We have
I
more.
mean, I have I don't know how far we want to go. There's plenty inadequate support systems, ethical lapses. Yeah, that's a real
Yikes.
one that I think that we don't even really talk about that, but we also are in a small
Dude,
area.
People talk crap once you mess up.
I mean, and I don't want to say they should, but when you need to know who you're about to go
Yeah.
into business with
Yeah.
and who you're,
Yeah.
stepping into escrow with. And I think
So true.
it's important to know why it's so important.
So true.
Okay, Bobby, recap for us.
Uh-oh.
1 through whatever
I'm out
we
of
did.
order. I don't know.
Just
Okay.
mention them again. 'Cause
So
I'm
we
trying
had
to
lack
remember.
of training and education.
Yep.
And not understanding market, lack of networking, lack of relationship building, You kind of touched on the lack of resilience and perseverance. Poor communication skills. We didn't talk about time management because that's just like a detail. I know really we could go all in. Lack of personal branding and unrealistic expectations.
That's good stuff.
Great. That was good.
I hope that's helpful.
Yeah.
Any agents out there listening, reach out to Bobby. She can help.
Totally. Or I can direct you for help. Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. And if we made this sound super easy and super fun, let us know.
Yeah.
Join the team.
Cool.
Yeah. Thank you so much,
Thank
Bobby.
you guys. Great job.
Thanks for being here.